Hi everyone, I'm Nivi, that awkward witch. I'm gonna be in the upcoming astrology deathmatch and I have a message for my opponent, Barbara. I'm sure you've accumulated a lot of knowledge over the years, I assume, but as someone with an angular Aries Mars, I was quite literally born to win. You simply can't win against the intuition of a Pisces and the genius of an Aquarius. So Barbara Banfield, you're gonna lose so hard, you're gonna be banned from this field. See you!
Hi, I'm Barbara, and I'm excited to be a contestant on Astrology Deathmatch this week. I am bringing a powerful mutable T-square with the planets Sun, Moon, Mars, and Jupiter all in the middle degrees of Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, all currently being slammed by the powerful transit of Saturn and Mars through Pisces, asking me to prove myself. So thanks, Alex. Anyway, I say to Saturn up there, let's do it.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode 3 of Astrology Deathmatch. I'm your host, Alex Harper, and joining me is Alberto Forero from the Museum Astro.
Hello.
And this week, our contestants, we have the first ever intercontinental astrology deathmatch, everyone. It is India versus the United States. And representing India, we have Nivi. And representing the United States, Barbara. Hello, everyone. This is also, as we noted in the intro, 420, right? So we've got, to start things off, a special 420 themed chart, right? Well, it's more like this person is famous. They're extremely famous, and they're associated with both drugs and astrology. All right, so let's just take a look at this chart to get going. Okay, so here we go. This person has a lot of Cancer placements on the midheaven. That's interesting. That's like the first thing that I noticed when I saw this chart. Alberto, did you have anything you thought about you wanted to share here on this one?
Yeah, I'm just noticing, being a Taurus myself, this person has Venus in Taurus, but in the 8th house.
Right, so maybe like, they're like a hidden pleasure or something like that. You know, they're not all they seem.
Exactly.
Because all this Cancer energy that they kind of put themselves forward as a kind of this like mother figure almost. You can see, right? And then we've got the Jupiter Saturn Earth conjunction in the 11th house. So there's like powerful friends and people that in their circle are pretty powerful, I would say, especially when we've got it making aspect. The sun is making close aspect with the sextile to Jupiter. So I will just cut to the chase. This is Nancy Reagan's chart, right? Now, Nancy Reagan is famous for being the first lady of the United States. Is also famous for having an astrologer on staff, right? Where she actually, warned her, and Nancy Reagan's astrologer warned her about an assassination attempt, and they had extra security on staff during the assassination attempt on Reagan. So this is, astrology actually helping to save the president, right? And also Nancy Reagan's slogan, just say no, right? Just say no. And that's what we here at Astrology Deathmatch say, just say no. That's the official motto. Now there's also, Alberto mentioned the the 8th house Venus. And, there was those rumors that came out a few years ago about Nancy, right? She was, the secret blowjob queen of Hollywood, right?
Hmm.
So I don't know. Is that in her chart? Maybe.
Maybe.
Um,
She's also got, the ninth stellium of ninth is the house of astrology and divination, and she has Mercury there as well. So seems like that might have been something that inclined her to Joan Quigley.
okay, well, let's take a look at the chat here. I realize I don't have it pulled up. Hello, everyone. So I think let's just, you guys want to just jump right into the first question?
Sure.
Yep. Yes.
Sure.
All right. All right, here we go. So here, the first question is one person is a doctor, the other person is a publicist. Can you tell who's who just based on the chart? All right. So let's see. I guess Barbara, did you want to go first with this one?
Sure. Well, I said that chart A is the publicist because we have the ruler of the 9th house of publicity and the ruler of the 10th house of career, Mars and Jupiter, in the 3rd house of communication. Plus, this person has Mercury in the 1st, opposite Saturn, or Mercury basically on the cusp of the 2nd, opposite Saturn in the 8th, and using their communication skills and their words, etc., to help other people earn money. And I kind of hypothesize that this person might also be involved in doing primarily internet work, web design, or social media influence based on the Uranus-Neptune conjunction exactly squaring the midheaven. The doctor is letter B, and that was pretty easy for me since I've worked in hospitals for a long time, and I see that huge stellium of Sun, Jupiter, and Neptune in the 12th, which represents hospitals in sort of very healing, helping situation, and then the powerful 10th house stellium indicating somebody who has a career that is a high level of social respect with Saturn, Venus, and Pluto together up there. So that's my choice.
And Nivi, what did you answer for this one? What did you get for this one?
Funnily enough, I got the opposite answer. I got chart A is the doctor and chart B is the publicist. Although this one was a bit tricky, and I will be in houses, so that there are a lot of spirit, and as it's shown in these charts, the daemon, and the chart A has a lot of spirit in Libra, ruled by Venus and Cancer, and this made me think that the ruler of the Lord of Spirit in the 12th house made me think maybe they are a gynecologist, and they have a very interesting Uranus Neptune conjunction in the 6th house, and they are the outers, but they are exactly conjunct. So I was wondering if that had something to do with them treating, being into neurology or something. And they have an Aries MC, and that could be something that a publicist does, but Mars is sometimes associated with surgery due to the needles and everything. And the Aries MC is ruled by Libra Mars, which is a conjunct their Lord of Spirit. So that's why I got doctor for chart A, and I got publicist for chart B because their Lord of Spirit is conjunct their chart ruler, which is Saturn and Scorpio. And Saturn and Scorpio gave me this vibe of being strategic, and I was wondering if they're usually a publicist for something that's a bit shady. Something interesting is that the second chart has the Sun conjunct the South Node in the 12th house. So if you think about the traditional signification of the South Node decreasing stuff, and the Sun being about rationality and the truth, it's like the South Node is decreasing the truth, And, in the 12th house is giving this message of, something being hidden, and, there's less truth and more of like some sort of something fake. And many things, they have a Mercury in Capricorn in the first. It gave this vibe of there's a lot of structure to the way they work, like there's a strategy involved, they're very methodical. They have Venus in Scorpio in the 11th. They work with an audience of some sort. And Venus is in mutual reception with Mars in Libra. So giving this energy of, working with the public and an audience, and but not doing it in the most straightforward way, and kind of twisting things around. So yeah, opposite answer.
Well, let's look at and see what the poll said. So people on Twitter voted, and there was 237 votes, and the majority, 62%, said that chart A was the publicist, chart B was the doctor, and that is actually the correct answer here. So we have Barb taking an early lead. In the death match. So Alberto, did you have anything you wanted to say about the chart? Should I pull it back up again? Yeah. I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add here. I could also.
Yeah, just briefly, I wanted to maybe throw this in. It just occurred to me from a horror perspective that the client, can be the 7th house, the client relationship, and then the 6th from the 7th is the 12th. So maybe that's the patient, the patient of the. Anyway, I don't know if that's completely thought through, but it just occurred to me.
Yeah, so I thought, it's interesting, right? Because we've got, the 12th to 6th axis is a lot of times associated with hospitals and doctors, and we've got the ruler of the 6th rising, right? And we also have all of this action in the 12th. I mean, Mars in a Libra sign, right? That could be like, removing things for good, right? So over here with the publicist, I mean, this Pluto Neptune conjunction, or Uranus Neptune conjunction, rather. Sorry, that's I don't know. I like it. It's also making a square with Jupiter, which is in the 3rd house. I don't know. Those were my main thoughts on these two. Let's go ahead and move on to the next question. Okay, so here is round 2. What happened? All right, so here's a natal chart, and then the transits are on the outer wheel. We have 4 choices as to what happened. We have injury, financial windfall, new lover, or moving house. All right, so we went with Barb first. Nivi, would you like to give your answer for this question first?
Yes. So at first I thought it could be an injury because Chiron was exactly on their Aries moon. But I quickly figured that it's related to their finances. And hopefully I did the math right, but I think they're in an 11th house perfection year. And their Time Lord is Mercury. And that house contains their Jupiter. And I could see that the transiting Mercury was at 0 degrees of Pisces, opposing their natal Venus in Virgo. So Mercury was transiting their 8th house, and it was opposing their Venus, which to me gave me the feeling that this could have been something more negative in terms of finances. But because of it's a financial windfall, I thought, they got the money from something not as happy, but they still got the money. And their Mars also conjunct Venus in their 7th house, so I thought it's a financial windfall.
Okay, great. And Barb, what was your answer?
My answer was that this person met a new lover. I definitely considered the financial windfall piece, but it really just kept being that the ascendant descendant axis was really heavily emphasized by these transits. And we have Venus and Mars conjunct. I mean, those are the lovers on the 7th house cusp. So that was a pretty strong indication. The Lord of the 5th, Jupiter, is trining Saturn, Lord of the 7th. So we have, sexual interest and partnership interest. There was just so much going on with the 5th and the 7th and the Mars Venus conjunct that I said lover. I do have a feeling that this person earns money through risk taking, like gambling and betting, but I didn't see that on this particular day that anything associated with those planets in the 5th house was really giving a financial windfall. So I went with lover.
Okay. Well, so let's look and see what the audience thought. So for question number 2, it looks like injury was the most common answer, with 38% answering injury for question number 2. So we have 3 different answers from our contestants and the audience. The correct answer for this question is that it's a financial windfall. All right. So we are tied up now. It's 1-1. Let me just go back to the chart briefly. So as Nivi pointed out, it is a Gemini perfection year, and right. So Mercury and Jupiter are going to be activated, right? And we have Mercury changing signs opposing Venus, as she noted. Also, Jupiter is just past a square to their natal Mercury, which is the ruler of the second and contains that lot of fortune, right? So we've got Jupiter has just passed this square to Mercury just a few days previous. And then Mercury's coming here and activating Venus on this day. So, yeah, that to me, that's the key, is to look for the perfection. See that we've got Mercury and Jupiter activated. And then what is Mercury and Jupiter activating in the transits? It's the 2nd house all over. So that's the key to this question. All right, let's move on to question number 3. Okay, here we go. So this one is opera singer and teacher versus a hairstylist is also a talented calligrapher. So, all right, well, let's see. Nivi, do you want to go first on this one? I know you went first last time, but let's just mix it up.
Yeah, this was the one I was the most sure about, so I hope I get this right. I got chart A is the hairstylist and calligrapher, and chart B is the opera singer. So chart A has the Lord of Spirit in the 2nd house, ruled by Saturn in the 1st. And we know that they also are a Capricorn rising. We know Saturn can be about the hair. 2nd house can be about, physical features in some cases. They have Mars in Cancer conjunct Chiron. So it gives me this feeling that they use that Martian energy in a more gentle way to cut hair, perhaps. They also have it in the 7th house, and it's ruled by the moon in the 6th. So they connect with other people in that way. They also have the sun and Venus in the 5th in Taurus. So of course there are associations with beauty and hair and beauty. And I feel like calligraphy is a very Saturnian and Venusian thing because of the intricacy, and they have Saturn trine their sun in Taurus. They also have the MC in Scorpio, ruled by that fallen Mars. Now, the chart B was very interesting because it gave a very literal imagery of an opera singer. So, chart B has a lot of spirit in Scorpio conjunct Pluto, which to me gives in the 3rd house. So, that makes me think of a deep voice or a loud voice. And they also have their MC in Taurus, ruled by Venus and Pisces. So, like performance and having a smooth voice. They have Mercury in Aries, again, they're loud. And they have Mars conjunct Uranus in Sagittarius in the 5th, which again makes me feel that they perform on a stage. and specifically a big stage. For some reason, Uranus makes me think that. And they have Moon conjunct Neptune in Capricorn. Again, deep, heavy voice that evokes some sort of emotion. So yes, chart A, hairstylist; B, opera singer.
That was great. I really liked your answer, how thorough it was. Barbara, what did you get for this question?
I got the opposite. I looked at chart A and I saw that Sun and Venus in Taurus at the base of the chart, with opposed by Pluto on the 10th at the MC. And I just thought, wow, that's somebody with a very powerful voice. Taurus rules the throat and singing. Venus in Taurus is specifically somebody who tends to be good at singing. And then we have a trine from Saturn in the earth sign of Capricorn, which strengthens the physicality of the voice. And the 3 planets in the 12th house, there's often a sense for me of the 12th house as people who act, who are kind of hidden behind whatever role they're playing. So they're projecting something out that comes from not their own individual life, but from more of that collective unconscious. And the other thing is the Mars opposite Uranus in the 6th, 12th axis there, and Mars in the 6th. There's short bursts of very intense physical expression during work. Opera singing is probably exhausting for the vocal cords. And there's also an intermittency of work that you sign on to do an opera, and then how much time do you have off from work? So there's you go, and there's travel. You don't just have a steady job. So that Sun Pluto thing just felt to me like this extremely powerful projection through the career. And then on chart B, what spoke to me about him being a hairstylist is the Sun is square Saturn and Mars. Saturn rules the hair and Mars rules cutting. And that's squaring Sun in the 7th, which is, a person who's very comfortable working with clients. The calligraphy, we have Mercury and Venus sort of conjunct there, cross signs, but definitely close together. And they're in the 8th house. And in general, calligraphers work for producing stuff for other people. Also, hairstylists, that 7th and 8th house being very strong, work for not only just, work for them as a client, but on an emotional level, they're working to fulfill emotional needs of the client for how they want to appear. There's also the 3 planets in Pisces, and hairstylists work with chemicals. And this person would be very comfortable working with chemicals and creating illusion and all that Piscean stuff. So that's how I came to my answer.
Well, that's great. That's those are both really great answers, guys. Very thorough, very in depth. I'm just gonna pull up what the audience thought. So we ran this poll on Twitter, and 58% said that A was the opera singer and B was the hairstylist. And that is actually the correct answer for this question. So we have Barbara inching ahead with 2 points. This is a really kind of cool question. So let me just pop this back open. So in the quizzes that I do on Twitter, I like to, when we do these charts about someone's career, I always point to the planets closest to the angles, right? And here we've got the Sun and Venus in Taurus wrapping around the IC axis, right? So As Barbara mentioned, Venus in Taurus is, that's very, very commonly associated with being a good singer, and it's angular. And the Venus is actually the planet that's applying to the angle, right? The sun's past the angle, but Venus is still applying to the angle. So that's a great indication that that the artistic and vocal expression here is going to be especially prominent. Alberto, did you have anything you wanted to say about this question?
Yeah, I just want to say congrats to both contestants, because this is like taking it up another level, especially with the idea of not one but two career significations. I mean, I was a little bit stumped on this, but I think the rationales are great. I would just add that also the Saturn in Capricorn on the first one makes me think about rigorous tradition. That this is somebody that's not just snipping hair and talking about the weather, but like opera is a very kind of Saturnian Capricornian thing.
Great. Yeah. So yeah, both you guys did great on this question. Let's move right along to question number 4. Okay, here's another transit question, right? So again, we've got the natal charts on the inner ring, and then the transits are the outer ring, right? So we have 4 choices for this: health crisis, gifted a puppy, the child expelled from university, or they smoked meth for the first time in a bathroom at Wendy's. So
Been there.
I mean, haven't we all?
Yeah,
right?
but I mean, this could be anybody.
Also,
Yeah.
low-key a trick question, because wouldn't smoking meth for the first time in a Wendy's bathroom be a health crisis as well, in its own way?
I mean, I suppose, but not on 420. Not on 420.
No.
Right. Okay. Barbara, what was your answer for this question?
Okay, I say that this person tried meth for the first time.
Okay. All right. I would love to hear the explanation as to why.
Well, I'm looking at that Mars, Pluto in the 6th house, and it is squaring Jupiter. And it gives you a feeling that you are invincible, that you've got tons of energy. You can work for hours and hours and hours. And it also will leave you feeling wrecked when it wears off. And it could lead to, it has a deleterious effect on your health, even if it's only temporary. I really kind of wrestled with the health crisis thing, but I felt like the ruler of the ascendant and the moon, the 12th house, 6th house, were not really very affected. The ascendant descendant wasn't really affected by this Mars Pluto conjunction. It was more affecting the North Node and Jupiter. And I felt like it was something that is contributing to their evolution. It was an important experience of superhuman type power that also takes a lot out of you. So I didn't, and the other thing is this, the base chart, this person has an extremely strong constitution with Leo rising and Sun, Jupiter in Aries at the top of the chart, angular. I just didn't see that at age 27 or whatever they were, that they were going to be having a huge health crisis without any significant malefics affecting their physical indicators in the chart. So I went with the meth. I couldn't see the gifted with a puppy, and they're too young to have a child who is old enough to go to college. So that's out. Okay, that's my answer.
Okay, and Nivi, what was your answer for this one?
Yeah, I was also getting either health crisis or meth. I decided to go for health crisis. Again, I checked the profection. They were in a 4th house profection year, which was ruled by Mars and Gemini in the 11th. and the moon was on their natal Chiron, and even I was observing the Mars Pluto conjunction in the sixth house, which was ruled by Saturn in Scorpio in the fourth. So I do think this could have been a health crisis, and I think it may be something genetic that came up because of all the activity in their fourth house in Scorpio, and I feel they may have picked up a respiratory disease in a crowded place. So, so my answer is health crisis.
Okay, great. I like that that meth is the second leading answer. Actually, well, it's the third leading answer on the poll on Twitter. So the audience says health crisis, 38%. Kid expelled from university, 34%. Although that was clear red herring, as Barbara pointed
Yeah.
out, because the person's only
Yeah.
27 years old at the time. So the correct answer here is that it's health crisis. All right. And what Nivi said about, well, it was a appendix, right? And they were, this person was on a trip when they suddenly had appendicitis and had to have an emergency surgery to remove their appendix while they're in a foreign country, right? So it was this sudden thing. And if we go back to the chart, I mean, the Mars Pluto, they are in a fourth house year, and Pluto's in the fourth house, and then we've got Mars and Pluto squaring Jupiter. One other thing I noticed is that in that we've got the moon, or the sun here is 12th from their natal moon, right? And the transit moon is making a similar formation with their sun, right? Or no, it's opposite, and it's opposite their natal moon. So this, even in their lunar cycle, this is like a kind of full moon moment. So what they've been dealing with, it comes to a head, and it just has a feeling of like, something sudden occurring in the chart. All right, let's move right on to the last question. So yeah, we've got it's tied now. It's 2-2. So here we go. Okay, this is a hard question, right? Because this one has 4 different charts, right? So for those of you watching at home, there's a link on Twitter where all these images are posted. We've got 4 charts, right? One of them has made a conscious decision to be sober, right, and to not use any intoxicating substances. The others don't, right? The others are, they're 420 friendly. They like to have a good time. So we want to find the person that's sober, right? That's the goal of this question. So, here we go. Who wants to start? Barbara, would you like to start?
Okay. Well, it took me a long time because all of these people have a lot of Neptunian influence on their charts. But I chose chart C as the person who is abstinent. So I was looking for what would make somebody choose consciously to abstain from mind-altering substances. And I'm looking at that Saturn in Aquarius in the 8th house of chart C that makes no aspects to any other planet that could either be completely ignored and left out of the situation, or I can also see that planet making its own decision like a king and just overruling every other impulse. And Saturn in Aquarius is extremely rigid and adheres to their principles come hell or high water. So I see that Saturn could be making the choice to be sober. the other factor in chart C is that Neptune and Uranus are conjunct the North Node, which indicates that for their spiritual evolution, they can't really afford to get lost in addiction, and they need to find new ways of accessing that Neptunian experience that isn't self-destructive. So while Neptune is making lots of contact with the vertical axis, with the nodes, and there's a trine to Jupiter on the IC there. So there's a lot of push to experience Neptune, but I see that Saturn in the 8th house all by itself saying, not so fast here. And maybe this person has directed their Neptunian desires or experiences more into spiritual pursuits, artistic pursuits, and overcoming the urge to simply escape. And everybody else, I didn't really see any strong indication of that kind of ability to literally choose to abstain completely.
Okay, great answer. I loved that. Nivi, what did you have to say about this one?
So I got the same answer that C is the one who is not, who is abstaining. And but my process was like the opposite. So instead of looking at who may not be addicted, I was looking at the charts and trying to single out the one by looking at which might be addicted. So chart A had Saturn, Jupiter conjunct in Gemini in the 12th house, and so I was by the way, I was checking their 12th house, I was checking their Saturn placement, and I was checking their moon. And the chart A had Saturn Jupiter conjunct in Gemini in the 12th house, so this gave me a feeling they may be into substances. Chart B had a Pisces 12th house along with Saturn and Scorpio in the 8th, so this gave me a feeling maybe they are into substances. Chart C, like Barbara said, didn't really have anything going on. And even I observed the Saturn and Aquarius in the 9th, showing that they are kind of keeping a distance from substances, uh, especially because they also have a Taurus 12th house ruled by Venus and Scorpio in the 6th, which made me think that maybe some health concern came up, and in order to care for that, they're not partaking in substances. And then chart D had a Virgo 12th house, which was ruled by Mercury in Capricorn. And Mercury, the ruler of 12th house, Mercury, is conjunct Uranus and Neptune, which again made me think that they may be into substances along with their Scorpio moon conjunct Pluto, conjunct Lord of Fortune. So yeah, I think chart C is the one who's abstaining. Abstinct, whatever the word is. They're not partaking.
Well, looks like you guys are actually both right. And so, but the audience got it wrong. The audience said D was the non-addict. But you guys did better than they did. So you guys both right. So this is we're ending in a tie here. We can't have this on. It's astrology death match.
Somebody's got to die.
Right? You know, so we now have to go into sudden death mode, right? So let's just repurpose the last question, right? Let's go back to it. And the goal is going to be to find out who or what this person does for a living, right? So the first person to gets closest to the answer wins, right? So we've got, let's start with chart C. What do you guys think chart C does for a living?
I immediately got some sort of teaching profession because of Saturn in the 9th. They have Jupiter in Virgo, they're Gemini rising. They have Sun in Sagittarius, Mercury in Sagittarius. It made me think they are in a teaching profession. They are most likely a higher level teaching profession, like a professor in a college level.
What about you, Barbara?
Well, I'm looking at that very heavy Western orientation with all the planets between the 6th and the 8th house. And I'm thinking some kind of counselor, therapist, working with clients to help heal. Saturn in the 8th house is often, I'm using Placidus here, is often associated with therapists who do deep emotional work. So I'm going with some kind of counselor or therapist.
It's
Okay.
interesting that the Saturn is opposing Chiron there too.
Yeah.
So, well, actually, neither one of those is correct. I know, trying to just guess out from. Let's see. Did you guys have any guess? Maybe you can try the other chart if you want. I don't
Other
know.
chart?
Yeah,
D?
chart D.
D looks
Or-
like a teacher. All that 3rd house stellium down there.
The opposite for me, I think D might be in the medical field because of, yeah.
Well, we've got to decide who wins, and you guys are striking out here. All right. Well, let's see if I can give a hint. Okay, so. Or do you guys want to just keep going? Just keep throwing out answers. The first one to like actually guess either one of these.
Well, the other answer maybe for D is architect, somebody who, or builder of homes, like
Did you
that
say
kind
for
of thing.
D or C?
D,
Right.
home builder, designer.
Unfortunately, no.
Was the person in chart D into something religious where they were like a priest or something
No,
in a
they had
religious?
their family was like bizarrely religious growing up. Like their family was like into like weird stuff, right? Like
Yeah, because I was getting a cult vibe, but like they're not in the cult, they're like a leader of it, or like, they're in something crazy
Oh
religious.
yeah. Okay. That's good.
3rd house can be heretics also, especially with Uranus and Neptune in there, religious heretics. I think Martin Luther has a really packed 3rd house.
Even with Capricorn, it feels like it's more strict, and not as free flowing as modern spirituality or stuff. Whatever. Yeah.
So actually, well, let's see. I mean, no one has hit on either one of their careers or gotten close, really. What about this one? Chart B. To see, can anyone? Okay, this one has multiple careers, right? So this person has had more than one job in their life, and any of them will count.
Substance abuse counselor comes to mind with Neptune conjunct the midheaven, squaring the Mercury, Pluto in the 1st and the 7th. That's working one-on-one with people and possibly having to do with substance abuse.
So they do work one-on-one with clients, but it's not with substance abuse.
The prison counseling?
It's not counseling, but they do. Well, yeah, it's not counseling in like a psychological sense.
Okay.
Is it I was thinking a nanny, like someone who works with kids.
Chart B? No.
The other thing is possibly lawyer, because you've got that Jupiter square the sun, Jupiter in the 10th, and then you're working with clients. So maybe attorney,
Yes.
lawyer.
Yes, that is correct. Chart B is a lawyer.
Oh.
Right? There you go. All right. Looks like we have a winner. Let's go here to screen. Barb Banfield wins in sudden death. But there was both such great performances. I'm sorry that, it is astrology deathmatch after all. We have to right? It can't just be everyone having a good time.
Yeah.
No, we can't have that.
No, that would be horrible. That would be terrible. So, all right. This person, let's go on. So the prize that it has been up for grabs here is a talisman made by yours truly. All right. So Barb is going to be getting one of these that I'm going to be making. And that's what I put up on the line every month for one of these. For anyone that comes on the show and wins, gets a talisman made by me. So here we've got everyone's contact information. I don't know if you guys wanted to plug your information here. Like you guys everyone gives readings. So Barb, why don't you go ahead and start us off? Tell us where people can find you.
Well, I'm on Twitter, and you can DM me. My blog was a mundane astrology blog that kind of haven't posted to very recently. May have to start that up again. But I've actually retired from doing one-on-one client readings. I worked professionally for many years doing that, and I've got a whole farm to run now, and I do astrology more for friends and just for the love of it.
That's great. That's really lovely. What about you, Nivi? Where can people find you?
So I have a website, and apart from that, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, and I also have a YouTube channel where I make content with tarot, so tarot readings, but also content about astrology, which is usually discussion about something, or some sort of forecast or horoscope. And yes, you can get a reading or watch me yap.
Great, Alberto, go ahead.
Nice. Yeah. I run a Twitter account they call it Museum Astro, and it's got literally thousands of images of the visual history of astrology, going all the way back to ancient Egypt to dime store magazines in the 50s. So please be sure to check that out. I also have a practice set, translationoflight.org.
And I'm Alex Harper. You can find me on Twitter as @balefulrays, and you can email me. There's an email in the description for readings. I'm working on launching a website very soon, so that the booking process is going to be easier. But for now, just send me an email, and I will respond with a form. So yeah, thank you, everyone. This was like such a great episode. I'm really happy with how it turned out and how it went. It's a great way to spend 420, right? And you guys discovered that the man you trusted is not wavy gravy at all. All this time I've been smoking harmless tobacco.
That ruins the illusion of coolness that I had made. Now you're just going again.
I have to say, I just love the clouds of smoke. It just really adds to the atmosphere.
It's like almost like watching Dick Cavett in 1973 or something.
Don't know that.
Yes. All right, guys. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we are going to be doing these monthly. I'm going to attempt to time them with the solar ingresses. Right, so we should be back around the time the sun changes signs each month for an astrology deathmatch, and then myself and at North Astrology, Gracie, we are going to be going live in a couple weeks to do another show. It's going to be a live panel show where you come on and you submit your charts, and me and Grace will try and read it live, right? And I eventually would like to have more guests on the show, right? And we can get a panel show going on where people can read charts live. So I'm really excited for the stuff we've got coming up in the future. And this has been great. Thank both of you, these contestants. And also, it takes a lot of guts to come on here and do this kind of thing. I have to hand it over to Barb and Nivi because they are insane. There is no way I would come on this show and be a contestant on it. It's absolutely crazy. And the fact that anyone is crazy enough to do it, they should be commended, right? Because this is sadistically hard, and they deserve all the respect in the world for doing this. So my hat is off to both of them.
Great job.
All right,
I just want to add one last thing.
Yes.
Nivi, I just want to say that fifth question that we both got right, I just want to give us both props because that was really, really hard.
Yeah.
And I just feel really proud that we both got it right.
Yeah, that one was really hard. And actually, we didn't even go over that one. So to go back, I mean, because Alberta, did you want to say something? Because you had a really cool thought about this question. Right? Do you want to go into that real quick?
Yeah, briefly, I got it right in talking to Alex, and basically the moon, the only chart where the moon is not being really threatened is chart C. So I have read a book called The Astrology of Alcoholism, and one of the things they were basically mentioning to look for besides Neptune and stuff is a moon that doesn't feel comfortable in its own skin, basically, and needs to escape.
Yes. So the moon is being maltreated in all of these charts except for C. Another exception in chart C that's present in all of the others. So if we look for who is pleasure seeking, right? We would look at the ruler of the fifth house, right? So chart A has the ruler of the fifth is Mars here, right? And we've got Mars applying to an angle, advancing to the angle on the IC. In chart B, the ruler of the fifth is the sun. The sun is rising. It's advancing towards the ascendant, right? In chart D, the ruler of the fifth house is Saturn. Saturn is advancing to an angle. In the C, the ruler of the fifth is Mars, and Mars is declining from the angle. It's already past the angle, right? And so the impetus for pleasure seeking is, perhaps not there as much. And when you combine that with the fact that, that chart C is the only one who has a moon that is in relatively decent shape, you see that, this person is probably going to take better care of themselves. They're not going to be, as impulsive and self-destructive in pleasure seeking, right? So
don't you see that the moon is being afflicted by Neptune squaring it?
Well, it is squaring Neptune, but the moon's separating from there. And I mean, usually I don't consider that to be really that, like the moon Neptune contact. I don't know as if that is it's not as bad as like the moon being conjunct Pluto or
the Neptune is being controlled by Saturn. Saturn's restraining the Neptune also.
Yeah. And we've also got in these others, so the square to Neptune is much more exact here in chart A. And it's also, the moon is also, it's to square the node axis, right? Very loosely. And then over here, it's like you got the moon opposite Uranus, right? Very, very tight, right? And it's applying, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, like it's, of course, this person's moon is not like perfect, right? But of the four choices, this moon is like the least badly treated, right? I don't know. I think we could all agree with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no
Okay.
absolutes in this game. It's just a matter of like looking for different perspectives and
Exactly. Well, I think we will end the show here. Oh, look, there's 333 viewers right now.
Really? Oh my
Perfect.
God.
Yeah, great. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's been great. I'm Alex Harper, signing off for Alberto Forero, That Awkward Witch, and Barbara Banfield. Have a good 420, everybody.
Enjoy.